There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, hi Corey, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
So we're in this beautiful backwoods in an undisclosed location at your home. I'm so happy to be here. Could you tell me about who you are, what you do, and how do we know each other?
Yes. I'm Corey.
That's okay. That's fine.
Mic? Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. I'm Corey Lynn Tucker Photography. We met in 2019 at the college that you were going to.
Wow, 6 years ago now.
Yeah. I was having a little photography art show and just talking about photography and how I got into it. And I think it was my graphic design teacher, Sue, said, "Oh my gosh,
Super.
yeah,
Shout out.
Yeah, hey Sue,
Yeah.
that I needed to go there and just talk to the students because I think she was inspired by what I was doing for my work and creative life, and that's when I met you. Yay! And then you became my mentee, and
I know.
and then second photographer, and then world traveler to all the destination weddings. So.
And then what do you do now in this present day?
So right now I am an elopement photographer that photographs couples who are adventurous, they're non-traditional, nature is their church like it is mine. So couples who want to break free from tradition, they don't like church weddings, they don't like cookie cutter venues, they don't want the stress of the day, and they just want to have something really cool and kick ass out in nature with me. So I help them plan their elopements from, locations, the time of day, places to stay, places to eat, local vendor recommendations, and we just have an amazing time together.
Yep. And for me personally, I had an independent contract. I had an independent study that I needed to do, and that's where you came in so helpfully, and I was able to see the back end of how you organize things, how you figure out information, how you give it to your clients, and it really is the full package. Like you are an elopement planner and photographer and expert of nature. And it's wonderful to see because not a lot of people are so thoughtful in their design, especially like I remember about 8 years ago, everybody wanted to be a travel photographer, especially before the pandemic.
Yes.
And I don't think people realize how hard it is to do, because it's very glamorous, right, to be on top of a mountain and be taking these beautiful picturesque photos. But to get there is a lot of work. And it's something even I realized, I don't think that's for me.
So yes. Yeah. Travel photographer. I think that's why I wanted to do it as well. It is glamorous. Looks glamorous. It's a lot of hard work.
So I would love to talk about where this all started for you, and not like when you started photography, which is also very, very fascinating. But could you tell me what it was like in like your first moments of being in nature and what that meant to you as a child? You want to go back there a little bit?
Yeah. So my parents always had gardens and they'd take us out hiking. My mom was into flowers and vegetables. It was so awesome. Yeah. So they brought me loving the land and an appreciation of nature. I used to go hunting with my dad as a kid, deer hunting, fishing. So I was outside in nature a lot. Like my idea of having fun was climbing trees and digging in the dirt. I was more of a tomboy than I was a girly girl. Like I had dolls, but my idea of dolls was like building furniture for them and, more of like a functional kind of thing. So nature is really important for sure.
And I didn't talk to you about this yesterday, but I'm wondering if you could tell me more about, was it your grandma that also sold flowers?
Yeah.
You want to talk about her a little bit and how she influenced you with nature?
Yeah. So my grandmother was known as the flower lady in Old Lyme. And she grew her own flowers, just like my mom. And I think the creativity just comes down through the lineage, right? Your ancestry. So grandmother, mother, sister, all of them are florists. I grow my own flowers. I have my grandmother's peonies, my everything, like flowers from my grandmother and my mom. All the perennials are in my garden. So every year that they come back, they just remind me of my family and those fond memories. And yeah, I even created a bouquet for a couple in Acadia from my mother's gorgeous dahlias.
Yeah.
Because the bride did not have flowers. And I was like, oh, she can't go without a bouquet. I'm going to make her one. So those are the things that I like to do for couples, besides, foraging for flowers and making bouquets just to make myself
Yeah.
happy. So, yeah.
It's wonderful. It's something you can bring with you through
Yeah.
even today.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
absolutely.
So you did not start as an elopement photographer. You want to talk about where you started with photography and how you got to where you are now?
Yes, yes. So in 2012, I officially started with second shooting with weddings. But prior to that, I had always had film cameras, digital cameras of some sort. But I bought my first professional DSLR in 2009, and then started second shooting weddings in 2012. And I quickly learned that the type of couples that other photographers got were not my people. And I did not like church weddings. There was too many rules and restrictions. It wasn't creative for me as a photographer. I didn't feel like I was taking very good photos. And then, of course, I found like the cookie cutter wedding venues, and it felt like, we were on an assembly line.
Yeah.
And everything was the same. It wasn't unique and individual. So thankfully, that was the dawn of barn weddings. Remember those? Like barn weddings and tent
We
weddings?
went to a couple of them. Yeah.
But that to me was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's like new and different. And, industrial buildings they were converting to spaces. So those were really interesting venues for couples, right? And then, over time, I was seeing the amount of stress, the amount of waste with food, flowers, plastic. So I created the plastic-free wedding guide for my couples to have a plastic-free wedding. And if they had a plastic-free wedding, I would give them a free engagement session as an incentive to just start to build awareness about the environment and how much of an impact we have as people, and just the little changes that we can make even at a wedding.
Yeah.
Right? Serving hundreds of people.
And you were able to get some clients to do that as well.
A lot.
Yeah, I think I went to at least one of them that they did a plastic-free wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah. And during the pandemic, what was it, 2020? I think I had 20 weddings scheduled, and they were all plastic-free weddings. And that's when the elopement started, right? I was able to encourage couples to keep their date and elope anyways, and then we rescheduled their wedding to like next year or the year after.
Yeah.
So for about 2 years, the ripple effect of rescheduling weddings was crazy. But thankfully, that's when my elopement business took off. And things really, I think couples really started waking up to the reality of, we don't need to people please. We don't need to follow tradition. We can actually think for ourselves, and we don't have to, do what people have done before us. They wanted it to be about them. They didn't want it to be the center of attention, and I still hear that resounding. We don't like to be the center of attention. We want our privacy, and we want it to be about us. And we want our love reflected in those photos. So less people around gives people more freedom to, I think, be themselves,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And too, you're in nature. It's hard not to be relaxed out there, because I think anyone in the wedding industry will tell you that, especially the day of the wedding, when there's more than just the couple involved, you have a lot of expectations from family, expectations from the venue even. Sometimes they don't work with you on the day.
Right. A lot less freedom to be creative. There's strict timelines, and as when you're doing an elopement, the weather could go wrong, so you have to be willing to pivot and get creative. And I'm really good at pivoting. The pandemic taught me that. It's like, oh yeah, it's raining, I got umbrellas. Oh yeah, it's raining, let's switch the time. Or maybe even have the flexibility to do it the day after. So I build a bumper in between my days. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have Tuesday and Thursday as my rain dates. And I say, if it's really bad, we can always switch it up.
Yeah.
As long as you can change your hair and makeup artist, we're all set.
Yeah, right. So can I. If you can change, I can too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because I want to give them the best experience. And I feel like with weddings, you don't have that creative flexibility, right? Because there's so many, it's a domino effect. You have so many moving parts, so many people involved. The less people you have involved, the easier it is.
Yeah, a lot less emotion.
Yes.
Not the good emotion. It's just the expectations from everybody. You have someone asking you all these questions. Again, if someone's not working with you, now you're shifting from your love to, oh, now this person's upset with me. Now I have to fix this issue.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot more intentional.
Yeah.
With what I think you focus on.
Family relationships and dynamics. A lot of couples are coming from split homes, and there's drama involved, and it's just so much easier for them to just have their day their way, without having to worry about people pleasing or upsetting someone if so-and-so is here, or, you know, and they're just so much more at ease, and their photos turn out so much better.
Yeah.
You can tell they're just more lit up. They're not like worrying about, you know, somebody looking at them, or nobody wants to be looked at when they're having their photos taken. They just, you know, they want to be anonymous, you know. To you as a photographer, I mean, we know what it feels like to have our photos taken. It's just so much better when, you know, it's just a smaller group of people. Yeah.
And there's all types of people out there, right? Like not everybody is into an elopement, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But that's what a niche is finding those people that do align with what you think and want the same experience as what you're willing to give them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we didn't talk about this beforehand either, but I'm curious, what was your first elopement? And did you have kind of like an aha moment where you were like, oh my God, this is what I was looking for?
Yeah, so in 2017, I did my first international photography retreat, and it was my first photography retreat ever. And I met photographers from around the world, and it blew my mind. It was in the Azores, in a little island off of Portugal. And the teachers were phenomenal, the landscape, the couples. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. It just lit me up so much. And yeah, so I was trying to pursue this field since 2017.
Yeah.
So I worked hard.
Yeah, you
and
did.
There were no tools back then, no teachers that were, you know, there was a lot of gatekeeping, and, you know, there wasn't as much information or technology or social media back then, compared to how it is now.
Yeah, that I don't think people realize that. And this is 2025 now. That was kind of a long time ago, but like technology wise, it was.
Even in 5 years, I have seen social media landscape change so much as far as education for photographers and information. That is like so easy. Like if you want to be a photographer nowadays, it's so easy to become an elopement photographer and get the business knowledge that you need. That was lacking when I was trying to do this. Yeah. It's amazing, like how fast technology and social media has really, you know, launched photographers into the elopement field. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep. So with that being said, if there's so many people that now have access to learn how to do it, how do you think you've set yourself apart now that you've been doing this and had a dream of it since 2017?
Yeah. So I believe in the law of attraction, and that the universe is abundant, and like nature has its seasons, right? And it knows how to flourish and grow. And like, I'm a unique person, and what I have to offer, I'm going to attract those people on the same like vibration, basically. Not just that, but I have, you know, film, Super 8, digital, years of experience photographing weddings, people, all sorts of things. And then, you know, my massage therapy background, I really love to make people feel comfortable and at ease. And And, one of the biggest things is I like to plan stress-free elopement. So planning, my corporate background, like my timelines, my location scouting, all of it. Like when they find out that I plan it and not just photograph it, they're just like,
It's a huge, huge relief.
yeah. They're like, oh my God, you're what I've been looking for. So yeah. And plus, as like a location expert, Acadia is my primary location. I keep joking to George, I'm like, we just need to move to Bar Harbor, but he's a teacher here, so he wants to stay here in Connecticut, and I love Connecticut too.
Yeah.
So maybe someday, I definitely want to be here, and then in the winter months out west, like that's our big goal. And we're doing research to be out west where it's dry and sunny.
Yeah. Speaking of the sun, I know you love Acadia because of the sunrises, and you've told me plenty of times, and you put it on your website. You are powered by the sun. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. So I'm definitely solar powered. I feel like a flower. I have so much energy when the sun is shining. It just, it elevates my mood. And as I've gotten older, the lack of sun in my life, it's like I feel like a wilted flower when the sun's not out and there's gray days for days. My energy and my mood just goes downhill. And I'm a pretty laid back, upbeat person. I don't consider myself to be like moody. But I do find less things to be happy about when it's gray out for days. So yeah.
I think we could all agree about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a first world problem. Like it's not the end of the world, but it does have an impact. Like I think when
you're very emotive, so that affects you, I think, probably a little bit more maybe.
Yeah. And when you know yourself and you know your body and how you operate and how much better you can operate under optimal circumstances, then sunshine is pretty awesome. But for photos, like a gray day, rainy day is absolutely gorgeous. For photos, I get asked that a lot. And then sunrise and sunset elopements. It's my split day elopement. I do 8 hours, so it's a full day experience. But for introverts like me who need to recharge their battery, it gives them that midday break where they can go back and have like a little nap and then, have something to eat. And then they come back and they're recharged again and ready for round 2. So,
that's again, something you can't really get from a traditional wedding.
No. Yeah. I mean, traditional weddings, you're shooting in like the harshest light of the day because you have to have dinner at 5:00 and everybody is sweating to death because it's a summer wedding.
And they all had to wear suits.
And they're baking. Right. It's not smart. It's like, I feel like, it's like building a house. Are you going to build a passive solar house and put it in the direction of where the light comes in and, benefit your home? So planning your day is the same thing. I work around the sun and the sunset. Yeah.
So speaking of planning and going back to your care for nature and, having, at least in the past, the plastic-free weddings, could you tell me about how you kind of have the same mentality in nature with the Leave No Trace? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So Leave No Trace, the 7 principles of Leave No Trace are all about, not leaving an impact on the environment, making sure that you're, walking on sustainable surfaces, and just trying to, educate my couples. I have a Leave No Trace guide that's in the client portal, and when they have time to read it, all those things. And I know when we go to public or national parks, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I love that rock. I want to take it home with me. It's so pretty, or this or that. And one of the principles is, take a photo and just leave that there so you have the memory and you're not taking things with you. So it's trying to create less of an impact on nature so that nature lasts a really long time for everybody to enjoy for generations long after we're gone, Yeah.
Speaking of which, I know that you are very, and have always been very active in different activism And because now you are in nature so much, not just personally, but for your career, and you have to, and I think this is true for a lot of things, you have to educate your audience and you have to educate your clients as you go, because especially with weddings, a lot of people haven't done it before.
Right.
A lot of people haven't, climbed a certain mountain that you've been up several times. But we're now coming into issues of who owns this public land and who is able to use it, and how long will we have this for? So if you don't mind talking about that and what that means to you.
Yes. So sadly, our public lands are at great risk right now. And just this past week in Congress, overnight, they passed, I'm pretty sure they passed a bill that is going on to another area of the government that needs to be voted on, where Utah and Nevada want to sell 500,000 acres of public lands. That's a lot. And once these lands are gone, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
And these lands are, I've been to Vegas, I've been to Utah. Utah has one of the largest public lands areas. And what makes Utah is these sprawling open spaces. And I don't know about you, if you've seen towns and cities and places that you love, see the real estate sprawl.
Yeah.
Overnight. It's like these cities are coming up overnight, and it just keeps spreading out into.
Yeah. I'm in a vacation town, so I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not sustainable to have that many houses on top of each other. And in this, by selling public lands, it's not just about housing, it's about mining and drilling and oil business. And they're putting it under the guise of, we have an energy threat in the United States, and we don't have a crisis right now, like they're saying. They're just trying to scare the public into thinking that, so that, oh my gosh, we have to do whatever we can. What the real deal is that the billionaires, they're trying to get a tax cut for the billionaires. So by selling these lands, it's going to give the billionaires that money to pay for their tax cuts, right? So it's a very intricate system, and I'm doing the best I can to learn and to follow journalists and outdoors people to try to stay up on things. And the laws and legislation and politics, it's not my jam.
Yeah.
You talk about all these things and I'm like, oh, I got to do my homework, so I'm not as good at explaining it as I am about, here, I can share this blog, I can share this form to take action, to email your representatives, to call your representatives. And I think that's the most important thing, is just by sharing information, people can take action and learn about what's going on, because a lot of these things are happening under the table and they're not talking about it in the news.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV myself. I've never had TV. I don't watch the news. It's very, it's
a lot.
It's depressing.
It is.
Yeah. So I follow people who, about subjects that I care about.
Yeah.
Public lands being one of them. And I'm even following American hunters and anglers, because they need that access to these lands to hunt, right? Yeah. And that's their livelihood. That's how they put food on the table for their families, because they might not have money to go to the grocery store to buy things. So, and I grew up in a hunting family, so I think it's a really cool way to respect the land and have reverence for nature. And, it's a give and take, right?
So what do you say to people that say, hey, some public lands might turn private and some things might turn into something else, but there's so much land. Why should we care so much if some of it gets taken over?
It's never coming back, right? Yeah, it would never come back. And honestly, like, as a taxpayer and as an American citizen, public lands are our lands, right? Mm-hmm. And before they were our lands, they belonged to the Indigenous people, and we actually took their lands and appropriated their lands. So by even saying it's our land it feels a little bit of like cultural appropriation, like we came in and we dominated and took over, the indigenous people of this land.
Yeah.
And honestly, this land, it's hard for me to even call it United States or America. It is a continent of America, but yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings about that.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Even if you live in a suburb, even if you live in a city, like you go outside, you see a tree, it changes my day.
Of
I hug a
course.
tree. Okay. I'm a
Yeah,
tree hugger. I'm a
yeah.
proud tree hugger. I'll always be a proud tree hugger.
Yeah.
And people might look at you crazy, but it really does.
Yeah.
It grounds you. Like there are
Yeah.
scientific studies. You take off your shoes after an
Yeah.
airplane ride and you ground yourself.
Yeah.
It is life changing and it is
Yeah.
so important for, I think, just the health
Your
of
spirituality,
everybody.
your
Yeah.
mental health. It's a place to ground. It's a place to go out and connect with nature. I mean, we are a part of nature. We are not separate from it. And I just read a phenomenal book called Braiding Sweetgrass. And she's an Indigenous woman who talks about our relationship to nature and the reciprocity and the reverence for nature, and not looking at a tree as an it, but as almost like a human, but it's because we're
Sacred.
respecting, and it doesn't become a commodity anymore. Like, like our government looks at trees and thinks profit, right? But when you look at a tree and you think, oh, this beautiful tree, not calling it an it, but it has a life force just like we do, and it is proven that they grow even after they're cut down. So yeah, nature is it's essential, not just for our environment and the health of our planet, but for our spirituality and our connection to each other and the land. We need green places like this. I've lived in a city, and the amount of stress is up here. When you come out into nature, it just it lowers.
It does. Yeah.
It's important for all people to have access to peaceful places.
Yeah. Corey, could you tell me about what it's been like for you in nature, going to these places out west and up east and down south with forest rangers and other people that work these lands, and what that's meant to you to maybe come across them? Do you have any experiences with that?
Yeah, I feel like since the cutbacks from our government, they eliminated hundreds and thousands of positions that are essential because the national park system was already understaffed. I've been going to national parks for years, and I can see the impact of humans and what they have on the park system. So not only are they, picking up trash and making road repairs, they're doing trail maintenance, they're rescuing people in the, out on the trails. They're also doing fire rescue, and then there's scientists too that are a part of the trails. So with that awareness of all the staff cuts in our national parks, it's really made me appreciate them even more. So I was advocating and speaking up about it on social media, contacting reps. So when I met a woman in Utah at Capitol Reef in April, I just thanked her for her service while she was emptying the trash, a very glamorous job,
Yeah.
And I said, how long have you been with the Park Service? And she said 10 years.
Wow.
She's a long time service employee. And I said, what's your most favorite part about being a national park service employee? And she said, nice people. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Because they don't always get nice people.
Yeah. It's not a shame.
Yeah, a lot of it's a service industry, and they're often overlooked and taken for granted. It's kind of like, being a waitress or a house cleaner. It's like we don't think of the service people that make our country run. And forest park rangers do so much for us that we all get to enjoy. And I have the U.S. National Park Pass. It costs me $80 a year, nothing, because I can go to the parks all the time. And that little bit of money goes back into the Park Service, right? That little bit. And there's other organizations that you can support too financially or however. That just makes such a difference. So yeah, it was really cool to talk to her and ask her like, hey, what's your favorite trail in Capitol Reef and what do you like best? And I did ask her about if anyone got cut from Capitol Reef. And she said one employee did. They weren't a long-term, but they recently reinstated him, thank goodness.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so
Good.
he lost his job, and then there was a lot of pressure on the government from the public
Yeah.
to help get people's jobs reinstated. So Capitol Reef isn't as large of a park as, like, say, Zion or Bryce or Moab. Arches, they don't get quite as much traffic. So that's probably why they didn't have as big of a cut. But every person counts. Every person is essential, for sure.
What do you think people could do to build a better future for nature?
Well, definitely leave no trace.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think a lot of people fuck up on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, like, planning ahead, whenever you're going out into nature or to a national park or something like that, plan ahead, be prepared, bring your water. Like, I can't tell you how many times, just even here in Connecticut or Massachusetts, when I'm out on a hike, there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of people that don't have water.
Yeah.
So gosh forbid, you don't have water, you don't have the right shoes, you don't have rain gear or cold weather gear, and you're up there and you're freezing to death or you're starving, and then you call 911 for a rescue. That puts a lot of, pressure and money onto, and endangering other people's lives onto.
Yeah, and yourself. I mean, hello.
Yeah. Common sense goes a long way, and there's a lot of people that don't have common sense, and you can repeat that. Thank you very much. I am totally blown away when I go on the trails and I see people in, like, Crocs hiking up the White Mountains. That is insane.
Yeah.
Crocs.
Yeah.
That's insane. No water. I'm like, where's your snacks? Where's your food? I'm like a mother, it's like.
Hey, mother of Mother Nature, right? Yeah. Totally the same.
Stay on the trail. So when you're on the trail, especially, like, say, out west where wildflowers are blooming, do not trample the wildflowers. Stay on the trail. There's things that are growing that you can destroy with your footprint. Yeah. Don't pick anything. Yeah. Leave things. Don't bring it back. Or, just take photos, and, that'll be good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's beautiful.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. So we've talked a lot about your passions, your activism, how you leave no trace, and how other people can do that, which is wonderful. Could you tell me about, like, when you have followed those rules and when you have clients that align with the same values, has there been, how do people take that? And then how does it feel that day when you actually get to, like, be in the space where you're meant to be?
It's almost unspoken. I think a lot of my couples will watch me hike through the woods or out in nature, and they kind of follow my lead.
Yeah.
And I will make suggestions to them as to where to walk or where to go. And everything just feels so natural. And it's not like you're following the rules and you're breaking the rules. It's just doing the best that you can. And I think having the willingness and the awareness to want to learn or to know more about nature and that connection. And I love to help people be in the present moment where they're at. Like, sometimes I'll say, all right, guys, I want you to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath and, just set some intentions for the life that you want to create together. Like, take in the sounds of the ocean, the waves crashing, like, what does it feel like all those things. So I try to guide people in an awareness kind of meditation to be, like, present in that moment. That's together. Beautiful. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite trips that's coming out recent, like, or in the future that you're excited about? What's on the horizon for you?
Yay. Yeah. So Utah was amazing. I was just in Acadia last Thursday with a very exciting expansion of Elopement. Yeah. So Acadia is my second home. I am expanding my team. Last year, I took on another photographer who shot 3 elopements for me. So I planned the elopements, edited her photos. And this year I added another photographer. And just last week we were there. I did 2 style shoots with my team. and local businesses in Bar Harbor. So hair and makeup, florists, cake makers, bike shop, all kinds of cool things. So like a really cool collaborative, creative experience.
Yeah.
So
What a community.
yeah, I was able to, work with the other two photographers, and we all learn from each other, but ultimately it's for me to be able to look at their work and make sure it aligns with how people who come to me want to be represented. So wherever the gaps are, it's up to me to share with them like, hey, this is awesome, but how about you see it like this? Like, and then I see things that they get, and that can enhance my work even, which was really cool. It was like a little retreat for all of us. It was work, but it was a retreat. So now I have to edit all of those photos, which is like a job.
It was a whole job in itself.
It was definitely a mountain to edit your own photos, but to edit two other photographers and to tie in the story. So I'm really excited to see what all of that looks like, to share that, and then to launch the Acadia Elopement Collective even more into the world, because that allows them to get work, but it allows me to be here in Connecticut with George while I still go up there. But I get so many inquiries that I can't meet it all. So with two other photographers, we can service more couples and have that same experience, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
One more, and then we'll wrap this up a little bit. But I'm wondering, what advice or what comment would you give clients that are...
Look at my cat in the tree. He is far up there.
Oh my God.
You better get down, dude.
He's been listening to you a little bit too much. He's like, oh, Mom climbs up a tree, so can I?
You get down. Oh my God, he's such a climber.
He is. Oh my word, he's up tall.
He's been that high in my studio before. Such a little stinker.
Yeah, I bet. But I'm wondering if you could tell me, if a couple is watching this, or an individual that is considering elopements, but it's a little overwhelming for them, or they're not sure, maybe they haven't done it before, but it seems to be calling to them. What would you say to them if they have questions about if they should do it or not?
Definitely go with your gut. I am a go with your gut person. Talk to each other, like sit down and have a conversation. Are you talking about whether or not they should include family or go the traditional route?
Like, should they take away the... Like, yeah, exactly. Should they go the traditional route? And especially when it comes to, well, this might upset someone if they're not invited, things like that, I
have a blog for that.
We'll have to link that down below.
Yeah. So I wrote a blog for couples who want to elope and are, typically like worried about what people think. So I have some empowering suggestions on the blog to have those conversations and to involve people that they care about so they can still be a part of your day, even if they're not physically there. So there are ways to include people without hurting feelings as much. And ultimately, you have to do what's right for you as a couple. And I love empowering couples to just think for themselves. Don't worry about pleasing anyone else, because if you please someone else, you're going to be not happy.
Right. Yeah. The cost of what?
Right. Exactly. And, weddings are very expensive. They're stressful. And wouldn't you rather spend your money towards your future together, whether that be a house or travel together, or whatever your values are as a couple, because everyone has different values, right? So figuring out what your values are, are you trying to plan for a future? Do you want to have a family? Like, do you have a house? Do you need a house? And how to spend your money in the best way possible,
Yep. Especially when there's so much pressure to have it a certain way. And it does come at not just a mental load cost, it comes at a physical price from your wallet. So it's something to consider.
There's something that I wanted to tell you that I'm excited about too.
Go ahead.
I'm going to Montana in August. Never been there. And I got invited to photograph a woman's retreat. So it's all about horses. You know how much I love horses. It's called the Wild and Wise Retreat. and there's still 2 open spots for women, and it's going to be on a big ranch in Big Sky Country.
Yeah.
Camping out, fires, horseback riding, connecting, and healing. It's a healing journey for women, which I'm really excited about.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, from 2017 to now, look at you go.
Oh,
could you believe that you would make it here at this point? I'm sure you did, but it's just wonderful to know that you did it.
Yeah,
you've been talking about this with me for years.
I know.
For years, and here you are.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Anything is possible. Do not let age stop you. That's the message for sure. Got a long way to go, baby.
Yep. Well, I think about my father, and I have a cousin that's in her 80s, but it's just interesting when you are, especially fresh out of high school, you're like, what do I do with the rest of my life? And everything feels so permanent to what you decide next.
Yep.
And I think something you've taught me about too is every decade can be different. And you live so many lives within
I have,
one.
what is it, Taylor Swift's eras?
Yeah.
Do you know how many eras I've had in my lifetime? Oh my gosh. And
you'll have more.
Career. Yeah, absolutely. I already feel the shifts happening. I see so many possibilities. And it's all about choice. Which trail am I going to go down? And your destiny or your future could look completely different based on that choice.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like there's any wrong choices right now,
As long as it's aligned with what you value, right? Coming all the way back to values.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll get involved in politics and public lands.
Maybe. I could see that. Let's put on that ranger hat and see where we go. Yeah. Okay. And then the very last question is, could you tell me a song you think everybody should hear in their lifetime?
Oh, I adore Steven Wilson Jr. I found him on TikTok, believe it or not, and I don't spend too much time on there, but saw him there, went to Spotify, looked him up, and there's this song, I want to say it's called When We Were Young, 1994, and it just reminds me of when I was younger and how much things have changed in technology. He talks about roller skating, he talks about listening to the stereo and your Walkman or whatever, and just so much has changed. And it's such a feel good, uplifting, nostalgic kind of song. If you're a kid from the 80s or 90s, I think you'll really appreciate that. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, I am so proud of you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I am so,
Me
grab my hand. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey so far. I can't wait to see where you go. I can't wait to see where I go.
Oh my God,
the world
I know.
is our
This is
future,
amazing.
So. And we thank Mother Nature today too.
Oprah or
Martha. Yeah, that sounds good. I do like Martha.
Martha's
All right.
awesome.
Well, we did it. Thanks, everybody. Woo.
Bye.
Thanks, Pi.
Yeah.
That was awesome.